People ask me why I walked out after 18 months. I wish I could tell them. All I know is that I saw something I wasn't meant to see. Something small, something silent, something that made a hairline crack run straight through the person I thought I was. Something I've never been able to stitch back together. If the moment had been loud or violent or dramatic, maybe I could explain it better. But it wasn't. It was quiet. And I think that's what ruined me. A year later, I still don't sleep very deeply. I still avoid cameras. I still touch my mouth sometimes, checking for a feeling that isn't there. But I remember the beginning. It always starts innocuous, doesn't it? We met through a mutual friend at a bar with sticky floors and soft lighting. She laughed at my jokes. She asked about my work. She listened. She made me feel like someone worth examining. The first 3 months were a kind of gentle domesticity, weekends in bed, grocery store arguments about cereal brands, her feet always tangling with mine under the blankets. She took photos of me sometimes, when we were cooking, when we were walking, when we were lying around doing nothing. I just like remembering things, she'd say. I didn't mind. It felt flattering in a small way, comforting. Around month 6, I found a little hardback book on her nightstand, heavier than it should have been. I opened it and saw the faint corner of a photograph tucked between the pages. She appeared behind me so quietly she barely made a sound. She took the book from my hands gently but decisively, pressing it against her chest like something fragile. "Oh," she said softly, "you don't need to see yourself like that." It was a confusing thing to say. I didn't know the photo was of me. I didn't know what it was. I didn't understand the implication of the word "that." When I asked what she meant, she smiled, the kind of smile that ends conversations. "It isn't ready," she murmured. "Ready for what?" I didn't ask. I should have. I figured it was a gift or something special. I was horribly wrong. Halloween came, and with it, the Dia de los Muertos party. She spent an hour painting my face, tracing black stitches around my mouth, her brush lingering too long at the corners of my lips. She studied her work with a painter's scrutiny. "You take this very seriously," I joked. She smirked. "Some faces look better quiet," she smiled, lovingly, flirtatiously. But there was something else I couldn't quite pinpoint. I let the comment slide into the usual category of weird relationship banter, things said in half jest that don't mean anything. Then there was the night with the baby powder and makeup. She insisted on trying it as a shampoo alternative for me, some internet thing she swore by. Of course, after a couple of drinks, it got out of hand. She over-applied the stuff, turned me pale as a sheet, laughing as she pressed my cheeks, adding little smudges around my jaw. She used gum and a bit of black thread to stick pretend stitches across my mouth. "Hold still," she whispered. Not teasing, commanding. But that smile. Behind it, though, that feeling. She photographed me, then kissed me, then peeled off the thread, laughing as if it had been all silly fun. We made love that night. I didn't know those moments had echoes. We had our fights, like everyone else. Nothing alarming, nothing dramatic. She didn't talk much about past relationships, but lots of people don't. She liked taking photos, but lots of people do. She sometimes watched me with a focus that felt intense. Not lust, not love, something closer to assessment. But that's hindsight. You don't recognize those signs in the moment. You chalk everything up to personality. The night I left her without a word, she'd gone to pick up takeout after a long day. She forgot her phone on the counter. Mine was dead. I picked hers up to check the time. It unlocked with my face. 2 or 3 screens over, I noticed a strange app with a muted gray icon and the label Volta X. generic, forgettable, but it caught my eye and I tapped it. It asked for a passcode. I tried her birthday. Nothing. Anniversary. No. My birthday. No. Street address. That didn't work. My throat tightened. I looked around the room, feeling silly for getting nervous. Then I tried something she once mentioned offhand, something from early in the relationship. The number of the apartment she lived in before we met. She told me that she hated that place. She said it felt too quiet. I typed it in, 418, 418, and the app opened. I wish it hadn't. The screen filled with a grid of folders, 22 of them, each labeled by a name or initial. Her mother, my father, a guy who bagged groceries at the store near our place, a barista we'd only met twice, one of our neighbors, several people I didn't know, and then me, my full name, 203 images. My fingers felt numb when I tapped the folder. The first photo loaded slowly, pixel by pixel, like the screen was reluctant to show it to me. I was standing in the kitchen, same shirt I wore grocery shopping that winter, same overhead light, but my skin was the color of plaster, not stark white, but drained, smoothed, blurred at the edges, like someone had pulled the life out of me with a saturation tool. And my mouth was sewn shut. Not physically, digitally, but the stitches were too detailed to dismiss. Little black threads crossing my lips, casting faint shadows on my chin. The pattern inconsistent, almost desperate. Like she'd erased different attempts and redrawn them until they looked right. I scrolled faster. Another photo. Me at the table eating breakfast, except the edit had removed the food, replaced it with an empty plate. My mouth bound closed, eyes too bright, like a corpse on display. Another, me asleep on the couch, skin ghost pale, lips crisscrossed by thread. A faint suggestion of restraints added around my torso, sloppily at first, then more refined in later images. My breath fogged in my throat. I checked my parents' folders. Both of them altered the same way. My mother's smile turned into a stretched, fixed expression, stitched shut. My father's face, whitened and neatly bound. Acquaintances, strangers, her co-workers, all of them transformed into silent, pale, posed versions of themselves. Some had only a few edits, some had dozens. Then I found her folder. It wasn't like the rest, not carefully curated, not neat, not complete. Hers was chaotic, photos of her face overexposed, smeared, distorted, half done, as if she'd started editing herself but couldn't decide on the right version. Some of them had faint stitch marks around her own mouth, drawn, then erased, redrawn, then blurred out. One image was nothing but white skin and black smudges where her features should have been. It was somehow worse than seeing her untouched, worse than seeing her perfected. It was a person trying to sculpt themselves and failing over and over. My hand shook so hard the phone nearly slipped. As I scrolled more, I saw the stitched mouths and figures in straitjackets, their eyes dull, looking out into the horizon. Impossible poses. I shivered more and more and finally stopped. I don't know how long I stood there, scrolling through the pictures. Every folder was similar, but somehow more grotesque and horrifying as I continued. It could have been 20 minutes. It could have been 3 hours for all I can remember. I only remember the sensation of leaving my own body, watching myself from above, frozen, pale, and silent. When she came through the door with the takeout, I didn't hear her. When she said my name, I didn't respond. When she set her keys down, I didn't move. I just left, quietly, deliberately, like a man stepping out of his own skin. I stayed at a friend's place. I didn't tell him why. I didn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw my own face. Not the real one, but the one she'd made, mouth stitched shut, sometimes arms folded into a straitjacket, white, buckled. The next morning, I deleted every picture of myself from every device. Stopped letting anyone photograph me. Stopped looking in mirrors unless absolutely necessary. Not because I thought she'd show up, or not because I thought she'd hurt me, but because I couldn't trust my own reflection anymore. A year passed. I moved to a new city, a new job, a new apartment with blank walls and unflattering lighting. A place where nobody knew me or her or the silent, pale version of me on her phone. She never contacted me. Tonight, my coworkers dragged me to a street fair, music, lanterns, thick crowds. Someone took a group photo. I looked away. An hour ago, someone posted a link to the fair's official photography page. "Dude, you're in this one," a coworker texted. My blood turned to air. I clicked the link. The photo was broad and bright and full of life. Kids running, couples holding hands, vendors smiling. And there, in the background, half obscured by someone's shoulder, me, but not me. My skin was pale, not sickly or edited pale, smoothed too perfectly. My mouth was slightly smeared, like the camera caught me mid-motion but froze the blur too neatly. The people around me were crisp. Only I was wrong. A deliberate wrongness, a signature. Maybe she was there, maybe she wasn't. Maybe she edited it, maybe she didn't need to. Maybe I see it because she taught me how. My coworker asked if I was okay. I didn't answer. I stared at the photo until the rest of the world fell away. I closed the browser tab, but the image doesn't go anywhere. It stays with me, hovering beneath my eyelids. A version of me that someone chose. A version someone made. A version that might outlast me. I don't know which is more frightening, that she's still editing me, or that she doesn't have to. There's a particular loneliness in realizing someone saw you as a version they could control and edit rather than a person they could know. If you've been made to feel watched, shaped, or handled like an object, it's okay to move slowly and rebuild your boundaries one small choice at a time. Let the people who love you see the real you at your pace in light that feels honest. Be gentle with yourself, be gentle with each other, and thank you for being here.